There are times when it feels like the whole world is against you. Everything's a mess. Emotions overwhelm you, and inside, it feels like a storm is swirling through your chest. You've tried it all: self-help books, meditation, unplugging your phone, forcing yourself to think positive. But somehow, you're still tired, fragile, like one more small blow might shatter you. Why does this keep happening? Because no one ever told you this. The storm isn't out there. The storm is in your mind. That's something the Buddha taught a long time ago. Suffering doesn't come from the situation it comes from, how your mind responds to it. And when you learn to master your inner world, emotions won't control you anymore. Anger won't burn you. Fear won't consume you. This video walks you through 13 practical and powerful lessons from Buddhist wisdom, showing you how to train your mind instead of being led by your feelings. Let's begin with the first one. A tree cannot stand alone, and neither can we. Have you ever felt like a lone tree standing in the middle of an empty field? The more you try to be strong, the more exhausted you feel. The more you hide your wounds, the heavier your silence becomes. Some days, you tell yourself, I need to get through this on my own. I don't want to bother anyone. And so you shrink, quietly, like a single tree, trying to stand tall against the wind without a forest to support it. But even the strongest tree, if left alone long enough, will eventually fall. It doesn't take a violent storm, just constant wind, slowly, silently wearing it down. Did you know that in a real forest, trees don't live alone? Under the soil, their roots intertwine. They share nutrients. They warn each other of danger. They even support aging or weakened trees. Above ground, each tree looks separate, but underground, they're deeply connected. And that's why they survive. The same is true for you. You don't have to always be fine. You don't have to smile when your heart is in a storm. Because silence isn't always strength. Some wounds, when left in the dark too long, don't heal, they fester. Buddha once said, just as the ocean cannot be emptied, pain should not be carried alone. You are human, not a stone. Your heart needs to be seen. It needs to be heard. And sometimes, the only thing you truly need to begin healing is the presence of someone else. Someone quiet, someone kind, someone real. But are you willing to be seen? Are you willing to let someone in? Or are you still locking yourself in a shell called I'm strong? There's something sacred that happens when you deeply listen to another's pain. Not only do you help them feel lighter, you start to see yourself more clearly too. Because when you realize others are struggling, falling, trying their best to get through life, you stop feeling wrong for having a hard time. And when you open up, when you share your own shadows with someone else, they see themselves in you. Suddenly, between the two of you, something gentle forms a quiet space where no one has to pretend to be perfect. Let me ask you, when was the last time you truly listened to someone not to respond, not to fix, but just to be there with an open heart? And when was the last time you let someone truly listen to you? No advice, no solutions, just presence. The world is loud. There are more than enough voices out there to drain you, but safe spaces where you're allowed to just be yourself are rare. If you've found one, you're blessed. And if you haven't yet, maybe start by creating that space for someone else. Because when you give that to others, you're also giving it to yourself. Don't wait until you're completely drained to reach out. Don't wait until loss teaches you to value connection. A forest doesn't grow from one tree. It grows when life supports life, side by side, root by root. You don't have to heal alone, and you don't have to be healed to help someone else, because the moment you help someone stand up, you stand taller too. The moment you speak a kind word, you hear your own heart soften. The moment you hold space for another's tears, you learn how to love yourself just a little more. In Buddhism, this is called dedication of merit. When you do something good, you don't keep it for yourself. You send the energy of that kindness out into the world. And here's the strange truth. The more you give, the more whole you feel. That's the secret of a forest. No tree is perfect, but together they form something unshakable. So if today you feel alone, ask yourself, have I allowed myself to be seen? Have I let someone listen? Have I reached out even just to say, are you okay, from the heart? Because you don't need a massive forest. Just one tree, one person who listens, one quiet connection. That's enough to get back up after a storm, because sacred forests never stand alone, and neither do you. 2. Emotions are fire. Nurture them. Don't extinguish them. Have you ever just sat beside a fire? Not to burn anything, not even for warmth. Just to be there, to listen to the crackle, to feel the heat rising gently to your skin. You don't run away from it. You don't rush to put it out. I ask that because emotions are just like fire. They can warm you on the coldest days. But if you don't know how to care for them, they can burn down everything you've tried to build. We live in a world where emotions are often seen as the enemy. Don't be angry. Don't be sad. Stop overthinking. These sound like kind suggestions, but if you listen closely, they're really attempts to shut something inside you down, not to understand it. The Buddha said, anger is like fire. If you hold on to it, you're the one who gets burned first. But he never told us to deny it. He didn't say to hide it beneath some fake smile or false peace. He said, observe it, step back, breathe, look at your anger, your sadness, your fear, not as enemies, but as signals. They're trying to tell you something. Anger doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's often a cry from a wound that hasn't healed. Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe someone crossed your boundaries. Maybe you've been silent for too long. And the anger, it's just saying, hey, something here needs your attention. But what do we usually do? We suppress it, or we explode. Both hurt us. Some people go silent until they become stone. Others erupt over something small, but inside them are years of swallowing pain. These are untended fires. Modern life tells us to keep calm by shutting down emotion. But Buddhism doesn't teach suppression. Buddhism teaches you to sit with the fire with a heart that's not panicking. Can you try that? Next time you feel angry, instead of reacting, pause. Not to bottle it up, but to breathe. 3 slow breaths. Then ask, what part of me is asking to be understood right now? Maybe it's a wound from childhood. Maybe it's pain you never voiced. Maybe it's a fear of being abandoned that still lingers deep down. Your emotions are not the problem. The problem is you've never truly sat with them. But when you tend the fire, it stops threatening to burn you. Anger, when understood, becomes the courage to protect what matters. Sadness, when embraced, softens the heart and opens compassion. Fear, when faced, transforms into clarity, wisdom, and strength. A Zen master once said, "It's not emotion that causes suffering. It's the lack of understanding." So, are you ready to learn to listen to yourself again? I won't lie. It's not easy. There'll be moments when you want to run. Sitting with sadness can feel harder than running 100 miles. But if you have the courage to stay, you'll discover that behind every emotion is a real part of you trying to come home. And once you learn to sit with your own fire, you'll stop being afraid of someone else's. You'll be able to sit with someone's anger without reacting. You'll realize that when someone's hurting, what they need isn't advice, it's presence. You'll become a safe space for yourself and for those around you. Life doesn't need you to be calm all the time. Life needs you to be real and kind to what's happening inside. Because emotions, when tended with mindfulness, become light. Not the blinding kind, but a warm, gentle glow, like a small candle, helping you find your way through the darkness of your own heart. So start with one breath. One moment where you choose not to react. One time you whisper to yourself, "I feel sad," and that's okay, because fire isn't meant to be put out. Fire is meant to teach you how to stay warm, stay lit, and stay true to yourself. 3. The mountain stands still because its core runs deep. Have you ever stood before a great mountain? The storm might be rolling in. The sky turns gray. The wind howls like it wants to tear everything apart. Trees sway violently. Rocks tumble down the slopes. And yet, the mountain stands still, solid, unmoved, as if nothing is happening. Why? Because deep within it lies a solid core hundreds of feet beneath the surface. The wind can shake the treetops, but it can't reach that unshakable core. The human heart is no different. There are people who look strong and successful on the outside, but a single harsh comment robs them of sleep. One minor failure makes them question their entire worth. A simple, cold glance from someone else leaves their soul trembling. Have you ever felt that way? Have you let a careless remark ruin your entire day? Or allowed someone's silence to make you doubt your own value? There's nothing wrong with that. We're all vulnerable, especially when we don't yet have a deep anchor inside. The Buddha once said, "No one can hurt you unless you let them walk into your mind with muddy feet." But he didn't teach us to shut our hearts. He taught us to build a strong foundation, one that allows us to love openly without losing ourselves. I call that foundation the core of the mountain. This core doesn't come from how many books you've read or how calm you seem on the outside. It's built day by day through understanding and compassion. Understanding of who you are, what you stand for, and what values you won't compromise. Compassion for yourself when you fail, when you're misunderstood, or when no one seems to see your worth. And compassion for others, too, choosing to see with gentleness rather than letting their careless words turn into arrows. So, how do you develop this core? You must turn inward. We live in a world that constantly pulls us outward. Be better, earn more, get more praise. We work on our surface, but forget to build our center. Every day, take just 10 minutes to sit in stillness. Do nothing. Just breathe. Don't let life's storms carry you away. Come home to the breath rising and falling right here, right now. The breath is the shelter for the mind. The more you return to it, the deeper you dig within. And the deeper you go, the stronger your core becomes. The Buddha was criticized, misunderstood, even opposed. But he didn't react. He didn't lose his compassion over someone's words. Because he knew true peace doesn't come from everything outside. Being perfect, it comes from the mind not being pulled away. A person with a strong core doesn't collapse because they weren't recognized. They do the right thing, not because someone's watching. They live kindly, not for applause. And when someone hurts them, they understand. That's their suffering, not mine. This world may make you question your worth, but when your core is steady, you no longer need anyone to tell you who you are. Your core is where you know you're not perfect, and that doesn't make you less. You can fail and still hold your dignity. You can be misunderstood and still live with integrity. And something beautiful happens when you live from that core. You stop needing to prove yourself. You don't need someone to love you to feel worthy. You don't need success to feel enough, because you already are enough from within. Like a mountain still in the wind, like a lake calm under the rain. You are not the storm. You are the deep sacred core, untouchable unless you allow it. So nourish that core every single day, with mindfulness, with compassion, with trust in the light that lives inside you. Because when your core is strong, you don't have to try to be steady. You already are the mountain. 4. Mastering the mind. Some days, life feels like a raging ocean. You wake up with a heavy heart. Just one message on your phone shakes you. A careless comment from someone keeps you unsettled all day. An unexpected situation at work or at home makes you feel like a boat adrift in a storm without a compass. And so you react anxious, angry, sad. You try to control everything. The words, the outcomes, the people, even the uncontrollable. But the more you try to control, the more exhausted you feel. The more you resist, the more you feel like you're drowning. That's because you're mistaken. You think you need to master the storm. But as the Buddha taught, you cannot control the world. You can only master yourself. Picture this. You're steering a small boat in the open sea. The waves will rise. The wind will howl. You can't stop that, but you can keep your hands steady on the wheel. You can't always choose what happens, but you can always choose how to respond. Let the wind blow. The one steering the boat stays calm and focused. And that, my friend, that's what Buddhism calls mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't some distant mystical concept. It's the simple ability to return to this moment to this breath, this feeling, this reaction without being swept away. It's the courage to stay fully present even when things are messy, painful, or uncertain. Meditation isn't about escaping life. It's about returning to yourself in the middle of life. Even in the storm, you don't have to calm the wind. You just have to keep your heart from being blown away. You may be facing something unfair. You may be carrying an old wound. You may have just watched a dream fall apart. But if you can still come back to your breath, you haven't lost. If you can still whisper to yourself, "This is just a wave. It will pass," then you've kept your hands on the wheel. And eventually, you'll learn something deeper. Every storm is temporary. Nothing in this life lasts forever. You know that. I once watched Tibetan monks create a sand mandala, an incredibly detailed, breathtaking piece of art made grain by grain. It took them days, even weeks. But as soon as it was finished, they swept it all away. Gone in one motion. Why? Because that's the teaching impermanence. Everything we think is solid will eventually fade. Life is like that mandala, beautiful because we know it won't last. Fame will fade. Heartbreak will fade. Even the people we love may leave. And even those we once resented may no longer live inside our hearts. When you really understand that you stop postponing life, you stop waiting for peaceful days to smile, you stop waiting for the right time to love, you stop waiting for everything to be perfect before you feel at peace. Because you know, tomorrow isn't promised. And that's not scary. That's what makes today sacred. Impermanence doesn't make you hopeless. It makes you awake. When you know everything changes, you stop clinging. And you stop despairing. You love without grasping. You give without calculating. You live without needing everything to go your way. You learn to let go, not out of defeat, but with peace. As the Buddha said, what arises will cease. And in that impermanence lies our chance to transform. If a wound is impermanent, it will heal. If a dream has collapsed, maybe it made space for something new. If you feel like you're falling, maybe you're falling into something meant for you. So if today's storm is wearing you down, come back to your breath. You don't need to control the whole world. You just need to steer your own mind right now. You can't stop the wind, but you can steady your hands. You can't keep everything from leaving, but you can live more deeply because you know nothing stays. And that makes this moment sacred, real, and worth showing up for. 5. Forged in fire. Have you ever felt like life was testing you beyond your limits? A sudden loss. A door slammed shut before you were ready. An event so unexpected it shakes the ground beneath everything you thought was safe. And in that moment, maybe you thought, why me? Or worse, am I being punished? But if you pause for a moment, take a slow, deep breath, and ask a different question. What is this fire trying to forge in me? The Buddha never promised that the path of practice would be easy. He never said that living with kindness would shield you from suffering. In fact, he taught that suffering is the first noble truth of life. But he also showed us suffering doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to refine you. Just like a piece of steel must be heated in blazing fire and hammered over and over again until it becomes a blade sharp enough to cut through darkness, to protect, to illuminate. You too are being shaped. No one grows inside their comfort zone. No one truly discovers who they are when life is easy. It's the falls, the breaking points, the moments you think you won't survive. That's where real transformation begins. Do you remember your first real failure? That heat, that shame, that exhaustion. You might have cried. You might have wanted to give up, but time passed. You didn't collapse. And when you looked back, you saw you were different, stronger, humbler, more compassionate. The fire didn't burn you, it burned away your illusions. The hammer didn't break you, it shaped you from the inside out. The Buddha said, just as fire tests gold, adversity reveals the true heart. We fear hardship because it strips us of control. But if you watch closely, you'll notice it's when everything outside falls apart that we finally look within. When there's nothing left to hold on to, we learn to rise from our own center. And that is the most important shift on the spiritual path. To stop running from the fire and to walk into it awake. Not asking, why am I hurting? But asking, what is this pain trying to teach me? Not when will this be over, but what quality is being forged in me right now? Maybe it's patience, maybe forgiveness, maybe compassion for yourself, or maybe it's simply the art of not breaking when things don't go your way. I once met an elderly woman at a small temple in New Mexico. She had lost her husband, then her son, and thought her life was over. But instead of closing her heart, she began learning to meditate, just 10 minutes a day, not to find peace, just to sit with her pain without running. 5 years later, she became a grief meditation guide, not because she got over her loss, but because she grew through it. And I think, if there's anything beautiful that can emerge from fire, it's a heart that no longer trembles when fire arrives. So if today you find yourself in the middle of a storm, if life feels like it's hammering you into the ground, if you're at your limit and about to break, please remember this. Steel must go through fire and hammer to become a sword, not because you're weak, but because you're being forged. You're being reshaped into a version of yourself that is deeper, brighter, and no longer shattered by the small things. And one day, when you look back on who you were today, you'll understand you weren't being punished, you were being refined. And you are worthy of every tear, every scar, every time you stood back up, because you're no longer raw metal. You're becoming a sword, brilliant, unbreakable, and full of dignity. 6. Ethics is your inner compass. There are moments in life we all face standing at a crossroads, pulled between what's right and what's easy. Maybe you had a chance to make easy money, but something deep down told you it wasn't in line with your values. Maybe you stayed silent in the face of something wrong just to avoid conflict. Or maybe you said what people wanted to hear instead of what you truly believed. And if you ever paused to really listen to yourself afterward, you might have noticed something. Whenever you trade your ethics for gain, peace is the price you pay. In Buddhism, there's a simple teaching I always remember. Live as if every action leaves a footprint on your heart, because whether others notice or not, you always know. And that knowing quietly shapes your character day after day. Some people spend their whole lives chasing status, climbing high. But when they finally reach the top, they feel strangely empty. Not because they didn't try hard enough, but because somewhere along the way, they lost their inner compass. The very thing meant to guide each step, each decision. Have you ever felt that way? A choice that seemed good on the outside but left your heart heavy inside. A success that should feel joyful but somehow didn't bring relief. Maybe it's because it wasn't built on truth, on care, on values you believed in, but on fear, on the need to be liked, or on compromising what you once said you'd never do. In Buddhist wisdom, ethics isn't a rigid rule book. It's the foundation of inner freedom. You don't have to be perfect, but when you act with integrity, not because someone's watching, but because it's the right thing to do, you begin to feel something powerful, self-respect. And with that comes a kind of peace no success can replace. I remember a story about a young monk. When he was just a novice, he once planted a small vegetable sprout in the temple garden without asking the head monk. It was a small act no one knew, but it weighed on him. Eventually, he pulled it out. When asked why, he simply said, "I don't want to grow anything my heart doesn't approve of." It may sound idealistic, but ethics, when practiced in small things, becomes a quiet strength. It doesn't boast, but it holds you steady, especially when everything around you starts to shake. You can make money, you can be called successful, but if you had to abandon your values to get there, you'll have traded away something invisible yet essential, the peace in your heart. So don't judge your path by the destination. Look at the footprints you're leaving behind. Where you're going matters less than how you get there. If each step is grounded in honesty, kindness, and courage, even if the results haven't come yet, you can still hold your head high and sleep peacefully at night. The Buddha once said, "Don't chase after fame like a dog chasing its shadow. When you stop running, the shadow disappears." You don't have to run. You just need to walk slowly, steadily, with a heart that's still whole. Because in the end, peace doesn't come from winning. It comes from living in a way that needs no apology to your own soul. And if today you're standing at a difficult crossroads, if there's an easy path calling you, but something in your heart feels unsure, please pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, will this choice help me respect myself more? If the answer is yes, that's the right direction. It might not be fast. It might not be flashy. It might not win applause. But it's the one road you'll never regret, because it's lit by the quiet light of ethics, the most enduring compass in a mindful life. 7. Bend, don't break, like the bamboo. There's a beautiful image in Eastern Zen teachings that I've always loved, the image of the bamboo. When a storm rolls in, it's usually the tallest, strongest trees that snap first, but not the bamboo. Bamboo doesn't resist the wind. It bends. It flows with the gusts. It's soft. It's flexible. And when the storm passes, the bamboo rises again intact. Have you ever felt like that bamboo life will send strong winds your way? Maybe a deep loss. Maybe an unexpected failure, or just that feeling that you've lost all control, like everything is slipping from your hands. And we often think, I have to be tougher. I have to be stronger. I can't let this break me. But the truth is, what helps you survive the storm isn't hardness, it's resilience. The Buddha once said, "No one escapes suffering, but the wise use suffering to grow." We tend to admire those who never fall. But real strength lies not in never falling, but in knowing how to rise again. And in order to rise sometimes, you need to bend. You need to soften. You need to know when to let go. I once met a man who had lost everything in a financial collapse. He didn't try to fake strength. He didn't deny the pain. He didn't force himself to just get over it. He said, I let myself cry. I let myself grieve. But I also told myself, I don't have to be strong by tomorrow. I just need to not break. That stayed with me because so many of us, our whole lives were taught, don't be weak, be tough, stand up right away. But sometimes it's the pressure to be strong too soon that causes us to snap. If you allow yourself to bend a little, you won't break. If you allow yourself to rest, you'll have the strength to keep going. If you let go of needing everything to follow your plan, you might just discover deeper paths that were never on your map. Bamboo doesn't break because it adapts. And you won't break either if you stop fighting everything and start flowing with life, guided by a mindful heart. In Buddhism, resilience is a form of wisdom. The wisdom to know you don't always have to win. You don't always have to hold on. You don't always have to get your way. Sometimes letting go is the beginning of healing. Sometimes acceptance is the first step to freedom. And you know what? When you allow yourself to bend with the wind, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're telling life, I'm still here. I'm not defeated. I'm waiting for the storm to pass so I can keep growing. I remember this powerful image, a bamboo grove covered in heavy snow. Other trees snapped under the weight, but the bamboo bowed low. And when the sun rose, the snow melted, and the bamboo stood tall again without a single crack. Life is like that snow. It can weigh heavy. It can bury everything in silence. It can make you feel like you're about to break. But if you stop resisting it, if you simply bow, one day the sun will rise and you'll stand again, stronger, wiser, softer. The Buddha said, those who know how to bow are the ones who can carry the sky. You don't have to conquer everything. You just have to not lose yourself in the process. You don't need to be harder than life. You just need to bend without breaking. And if you're going through a hard time right now, if it feels like life is testing every part of you, please remember, you are the bamboo. You can bend, you can be still, and you will rise again. Not perfectly, not quickly, but steadily in your own way. 8. Suffering is fertilizer for the soul. There's a well-known phrase in Buddhism that's hard to forget once you've heard it. No mud, no lotus. It sounds simple, but it holds a deep truth about life, about suffering, and how we grow from the very things we once thought would break us. Have you ever seen a lotus bloom in the wild? It doesn't rise from clear, fragrant water. It grows from mud, thick, black, and deep, and yet it rises untouched, radiant, pure. You can be like that too. Maybe you've gone through things no one knows. A quiet grief, a hidden wound, a failure that made you question your worth. Maybe you've asked yourself, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? But if you pause and look deeper, you'll see. Pain isn't your enemy. Pain is fertile soil, where the seeds of awakening are planted. The Buddha didn't awaken on a throne of comfort. He didn't find clarity in days of ease. He saw the raw truth of life birth aging sickness and death. He walked away from luxury and began the path that would lead to liberation. From mud, the lotus bloomed, and the Buddha showed us it is in suffering that we come closest to understanding. I once met an elderly woman at a Dharma talk. After her husband passed away, she sank into a 7-year depression. She disconnected from nearly everyone. Nothing helped. Until one day, she wandered into a temple just looking for silence. There in the quiet, with the sound of a bell and the gentle trail of incense, she began to sit with her grief. Not as an enemy, but as an old companion. She told me I learned to sit with my sadness like it was an old friend, not to chase it away, not to fear it, just to sit and listen. Over time, she began to heal, not because the pain vanished, but because her heart opened to live with it instead of running from it. You see, suffering isn't punishment. It softens the ego. It clears the illusions that life must always be beautiful and easy. It shows you what's real and brings you home to what's essential. The Buddha said, just as moist earth nourishes the seed, suffering allows compassion to bloom. When you've been hurt, you understand others in pain. When you've fallen, you help others rise without judgment. When you've lost, you value what remains. Of course, in the middle of suffering, no one expects you to smile. You don't need to stay positive while your heart is breaking. But if you can stay with yourself gently, patiently, your pain will begin to teach you. Maybe it's asking you to let go of something old. Maybe it's pointing to a place inside you that still needs healing. Maybe it's slowing you down so you can listen to life in a new way. And one day, when the storm has passed, you won't say, "I'm glad I suffered," but you may say, "I'm grateful I didn't run away." You let the seed inside you sink into the mud. Even though it wouldn't bloom overnight, you watered it, you waited, you stayed. And then something beautiful happened. Not like fireworks, but like sunlight, quietly returning after days of rain. The first lotus in your heart began to open. So if today you feel like you're stuck in the mud, please don't blame yourself. Take a deep breath, look around, and remember, lotuses grow only from mud, not from anywhere else. If you learn from it, suffering becomes fertilizer for the soul, and you, like so many others before you, will bloom. 9. The river doesn't flow backward. Have you ever just sat by a river and watched it flow? It doesn't hesitate. It doesn't look back. It doesn't try to hold on to anything. No matter how many rocks get in the way, no matter how it twists, turns, crashes, or carries mud, it just keeps flowing forward. And maybe our lives should be more like that. But here's the thing. Unlike a river, humans are experts at holding on. We cling to the past like it's the last safe place we've known. We hold tight to memories, to mistakes, to people who've already left, even when all that's left is a scar in the heart. We try to reverse time with questions like, what if only? Why didn't I? But the Buddha taught the past is no longer here. The future has not yet arrived. The present is the only reality we can truly live. It sounds simple, but living that truth, that takes strength, the strength to let go. Have you ever thought letting go was weakness? That forgiving Releasing or moving on meant you'd lost. But here's the truth. Letting go isn't giving up. It's choosing to move forward instead of being pulled backward by what no longer belongs to you. I once met a woman in her 60s who had been through a heartbreaking divorce. She told me it took her 10 years to forgive the man who betrayed her. Not because he apologized, not because things were made right, but because she was tired of carrying that pain into the rest of her life. She said, "Every day I held on to that resentment. I wasn't punishing him. I was punishing myself." Then one morning, while walking by the river behind her house, she looked at the water and whispered, "If this river tried to flow backward, it would die." From that day forward, she started practicing letting go. Not by forgetting everything, but by releasing the resistance inside her. Letting go of the question, "Why did this happen to me?" Letting go of the need to have an answer. Letting go of the belief that her past had to change for her to live fully now. Sometimes, letting go just means stopping the fight with what cannot be undone. And the moment you do, something new can begin. A softer thought, a broader perspective, a freer version of you, more peaceful, more open, finally has room to rise. The Buddha said, "The one who can let go is the one who is truly growing." Because letting go doesn't come from weakness. It comes from wisdom, from knowing that if you keep pulling on a door that's already shut, you'll miss the one that's opening. If you feel stuck today, maybe it's not because life is too hard, but because you're facing the wrong direction, staring at what used to be. And when you keep looking backward, you miss the most important thing: life is still moving. The river is still flowing. Time is still passing. And you still breathing means you still have a chance. Not to rewrite the past, but to rewrite what's ahead. You may not forget everything that happened, but you can stop letting it steer your every step. You may not heal every wound, but you can stop reopening it every single day. Letting go is when you sit with yourself and say, "I no longer want to live in yesterday. I want to live today with clearer eyes. I want to see the ones still beside me, not just the ones who left. I want to be grateful for what remains, not bitter about what's gone. And most of all, I want to keep flowing like a river. No turning back, no regrets. Just fully present with every new bend in the path. Because in the end, no one truly lives in yesterday, unless they choose to. But if you're willing to take even one small step forward, you are alive. You are growing, and you are reminding yourself that the one who knows how to let go is the one who truly grows. 10. Awareness is your lighthouse. Buddhist wisdom to navigate inner storms. When life gets stormy, you're the boat. Huge waves, wild winds, swirling dark waters. It can all feel like it's pulling you under into a sea of anxiety, anger, and exhaustion. In those moments, one thing becomes essential awareness. Not as some lofty concept or distant Buddhist idea you've heard about, but as a living, breathing lighthouse guiding you through the dark when you've lost all sense of direction. Have you ever felt adrift? Waking up tired, mind already crowded with to-do lists, worries, and unresolved emotions before the day even begins. You're not really present, just reacting. An email irritates you. A glance triggers insecurity. An old memory drags you back into pain. And so you drift, saying things without thinking, withdrawing, or bottling it all up, unaware that no one is steering your inner ship anymore. In Buddhist teachings, sati mindfulness doesn't just mean knowing, it means seeing clearly. Seeing what's happening in your body, the breath, the tension, the heat or cold. Seeing what's arising in your mind, the sadness, the anger, the jealousy, quietly creeping in. Not to judge, not to suppress, just to see. And that simple seeing opens the door to freedom. The Buddha said, "To conquer oneself is a greater task than conquering others." The greatest victory doesn't lie out there, but in that one moment when you realize you're reacting out of habit and you choose to pause, not to control, but to understand. Someone once asked, "What's the point of mindfulness if life is still hard?" Because mindfulness doesn't stop the storm. It keeps you from crashing into the rocks. It doesn't erase pain, but it stops you from doubling your suffering by reacting blindly. Think back to the last time you got angry. Maybe someone insulted you. Maybe something unfair happened. The instinct is to strike back, say something sharp, or shut down. But what if just for a moment you paused, took a deep breath, and noticed, my mind is heating up. I want to lash out. I want to prove something. That's it, nothing more. And in that moment, something shifts. The anger starts to lose its grip. You're no longer its victim. You're the observer. And from there, the one who transforms. Mindfulness isn't a fixed state. It's a choice you make again and again. Every day, every moment. It's returning to yourself through the breath, through attention, through stillness in the noise. It can be as simple as a deep breath before answering a message, a pause before turning on the TV or reaching for that drink. It's that sacred space between stimulus and response where freedom lives. In the Anapanasati Sutta, the Buddha teaches mindfulness of the body, feelings, mind, and mental objects as a path to awakening. But for those of us living in today's world, it can start simply by asking, how's my mind right now? What's going on in my body? What am I about to do, and why? Just asking those questions lights the first spark of your inner lighthouse. In the darkest chaos, that quiet awareness becomes your refuge. Because without awareness, we just repeat old patterns. We relive old wounds. We think the same thoughts, love, and get hurt the same way. And the boat drifts on. But when awareness shines its light, we start steering again. You don't need to become a great monk or a master meditator. Just begin with small moments. When drinking tea, know you're drinking tea. When sadness comes, notice it, don't rush to push it away. When the mind stirs, one conscious breath can calm the waters. That's when healing begins. Healing isn't a battle against the darkness, it's bringing the light of awareness into it. When you see the roots of your suffering, it no longer controls you. When you dare to sit with your pain, it's no longer a bottomless pit, but a doorway to depth. A lighthouse doesn't stop the storm. It keeps ships from losing their way. Mindfulness works the same. It doesn't live your life for you, but it shows you how to live. And as long as awareness is present, you are never truly lost. Remember, light doesn't have to be bright, just constant. Like the steady, quiet glow of a lighthouse, it's enough to help you find your way home, even in the darkest night. 11. Adversity is where your inner strength is truly tested. You may think you're kind, understanding, and patient until someone does something that hits a nerve. Maybe it's a disrespectful remark, a moment of unfairness, a time you were misunderstood, and no one stood up for you. Suddenly, something deep inside you is triggered. You feel angry. You react. And just like that, all the wisdom and calm you've worked so hard for seems to vanish in an instant. And then you wonder, so what have I really learned? The Buddha once said, no one truly knows the strength of their mind until it's been tested. When life is easy, when people are nice, and everything flows smoothly, it's easy to stay calm and compassionate. But that's not when you truly see how far you've come. Your inner strength, what we call spiritual maturity, only shows itself when you're thrown into adversity. It's like shaking a cup. Whatever is inside will spill out. If it holds clear water comes out. If it's muddy, then muddy water spills. Your mind is the same. When life shakes you with injustice, loss, or pain, what's inside will rise to the surface. Have you ever had someone say something harsh to you, and instead of getting angry, you just took a breath? Have you faced a situation that used to trigger you, but now you know how to pause and take a step back? That, my friend, is a sign of your growing inner power. Quiet, humble, but strong enough to keep you grounded so you're not swept away by instinctive reactions. I know you're not looking for adversity. No one enjoys being disrespected or hurt, but it's exactly in those moments that you get to see where you truly are on the path. And it's okay if you're not there yet. It's okay to still feel anger, sadness, even emotional chaos. The Buddha never blamed anyone for their emotions. He simply reminded us, don't let your emotions control you, just observe them. Because every time you're aware of your reaction, you understand yourself a little more. Every time you notice you're angry, but choose not to act on that anger, that's mindfulness in action. And little by little, you'll find yourself reacting less, staying calmer, seeing more clearly. You don't have to be as still as a mountain from the start. But if you understand that each challenge is here to train you, adversity stops being your enemy. It becomes a mirror, a clear reflection of how far you've come. You could read 1,000 books, chant 10,000 mantras, but sometimes a single real-life moment is enough to shake your roots if they're not deep. So, no adversity isn't what blocks your path. It is the path. There was once a man who came to the Buddha and said, "I get angry so easily. I want to practice so I won't feel anger anymore." The Buddha smiled and replied, "You don't need to force yourself not to feel anger. Just don't become a slave to it. You may not control your emotions right away, but if you can recognize when you're being driven by them and pause, that is the practice. And soon, those people who used to hurt you, those unfair situations, those emotional storms, won't break you like they used to, because inside you, something is growing, a deep root, a quiet wisdom. a soft but steady light we call inner strength. So, if you're facing something tough right now, don't be hard on yourself. Just pause, look within, and remember how you respond in the hardest moments is the most honest test of your inner power. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be aware and choose again every time you slip. Because real practice isn't about avoiding the storm. It's about learning how to steady your heart when the storm comes. 12. Forgiveness is the path to freedom. Here's a paradox we all come to realize as we grow. The person who hurt you might not feel any remorse, but the one carrying the weight of it is you. You hold on to anger. You carry that resentment through your days and into your nights. Over time, that pain may become the lens through which you see life more guarded, more closed off, more doubtful. Have you ever noticed? Unhealed wounds rarely stay in one place. They spread into your conversations, into the way you see someone new, even into the restless way you sleep. And one day, you feel tired not of them, but of the burden you've been carrying. The Buddha once said, "Without forgiveness, it is you who keeps carrying the weight." We often think forgiveness is a gift we give to those who've wronged us. But the truth is, forgiveness is something we give ourselves. To forgive doesn't mean to deny the pain. It doesn't mean to agree with what was done. It simply means you're no longer willing to stay locked in a prison of your own making. There's a story in the sutras of a man who came to the Buddha carrying a heavy rock on his back. He complained of his exhaustion and suffering. The Buddha gently asked, "Why don't you put the rock down?" The man said nothing. It may sound silly, but it's exactly what we do. What heavy rock are you still carrying on your back, in your heart, in your mind, that you know is hurting you, but you can't seem to let go of? Maybe it's a betrayal, a cruel word, an action that shattered your trust. You can't forget it. You can't release it. But the longer you hold it, the more it holds you. Forgiveness is not some magical moment. It's a process. It's the daily choice to no longer let that person live rent-free in your mind. It's when you stop asking, "Why did they do that?" and start asking, "Why have I let it keep hurting me this long?" In truth, forgiveness is the highest act of compassion toward yourself. Because when you refuse to forgive, you're the one holding the fire, hoping to burn the other person. But you're the one getting burned. The anger, the bitterness, the imaginary arguments in your head, they drain your life force. So why not let go? The Buddha never demanded you forgive instantly, but he did teach this each time you return to your breath. Each time you look at your emotions without judgment, you begin to loosen the chains you've placed on your own soul. There's a beautiful quote, "Forgiveness is when you choose freedom over being right." Not everyone deserves your forgiveness, but you deserve peace. And if forgiveness is the path that leads you out of the past, why not take the first step? Have you ever watched a stream? When the water is clear, it flows gently, but drop a heavy stone in it, and the current is blocked. Your heart is no different. Hatred is the stone. Forgiveness is removing it, so your life can keep flowing gently, deeply, freely. Maybe you're thinking, I can't forgive because I still hurt. But remember, pain doesn't stop you from letting go. Sometimes it's because you're in pain that you need to let go to finally heal. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without resentment. No more replaying that story. No more seeing everyone through the filter of an old wound. No more playing the victim in a story that ended long ago. And if today your heart still feels heavy, try whispering something simple. I choose freedom. You don't need an audience. You don't need anyone to understand. Just one quiet decision inside yourself. And each time you choose to look inward rather than outward in blame, you come home to true freedom. You weren't born to carry what already passed. You came here to live, to love, to walk lightly. And that path begins with a decision that's both profound and quiet. Let go and forgive. 13. A spacious heart makes pain feel smaller. Have you ever had one small thing throw off your whole day? Maybe it was a careless comment, a strange look from someone, a message left unread, or someone forgetting to say thank you. When your heart is tired, even the tiniest things can feel like a storm inside, and you might wonder, why am I so sensitive? But perhaps the real issue isn't the event itself. It's whether your inner space is wide enough to hold it. The Buddha once taught with a simple image that has stayed with me for years. If you drop a handful of salt into a small glass of water, the water becomes too salty to drink. But if you drop the same handful into a vast lake, the water remains clear and refreshing. That story isn't just about salt. It's about our mind. When the heart is narrow, even little things can hurt a lot. But when the heart is spacious, even the difficult moments feel lighter. I remember a woman who came to the temple to share her pain. Her only daughter, in a moment of anger, had said something cruel. Just one sentence, but it cut deep. She told me, "Master, she's my child." How could she say that I didn't answer right away? I simply poured her a glass of water. Into one cup, I added a pinch of salt. Into a large pitcher, I added another. I invited her to taste both. She grimaced at the first sip, but smiled at the second. I asked, "Did the salt change?" She shook her head. "And what changed the taste?" She paused, then softened for the first time during our talk. "It's the size of the container," she whispered. "That's our heart. You see, life will always have its share of salt, unexpected pain, harsh words, disappointments. But you don't have to be overwhelmed if you learn to expand your heart. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone knows how to be gentle. But you can choose not to stay stuck in your reaction. So what does it mean to have a spacious heart? It means choosing understanding instead of reacting. It means seeing the other person's suffering, not to excuse them, but to realize maybe they're hurting too. The Buddha said, "Understanding is the foundation of love." Without understanding, we're quick to blame. With understanding, we realize there's often nothing left to stay angry about. I once met an elderly man who came to the temple every day not to chant or bow, just to sit silently beneath the Bodhi tree. I asked, "Why don't you pray or meditate?" He smiled. "I sit here so my heart gets wider." At home, my wife complains a lot. Each day, I expand my heart a bit so her words won't make me lose my peace. You see, growing a spacious heart isn't some big, dramatic thing. Sometimes, it's just the ability to pause for half a second before reacting. It's allowing others to be imperfect without punishing them with our harsh gaze. Most of our suffering doesn't come from how harsh the world is, but from how cramped our inner space can feel. A single criticism can crush us. A simple forgetfulness can make us feel unloved. That's why spiritual practice isn't about removing the salt from life. It's about becoming the lake. Someone once asked me, "How do I make my heart more spacious?" I said, "Start with mindfulness. Whenever a difficult emotion arises, don't rush to react. Just breathe. Look deeply at the feeling, as if you're listening to an old friend, not confronting an enemy. And each day, nourish your soul with things that bring you back to yourself. A passage from the Dharma, a quiet meditation, a judgment-free conversation, or simply sitting beneath a tree, listening to the leaves fall. Slowly, quietly, your heart grows. You'll find yourself more patient, less reactive, more gentle with the world and with yourself. And the things that once kept you awake at night, they'll pass by like ripples on a still lake. One day, you'll realize a spacious heart doesn't forget what happened, but it no longer lets it define who you are. You still remember, but you no longer hurt the same way. You still feel, but you're not swept away. You still live among the salt, but you've become the lake, not the glass. And with that, each step you take becomes a little lighter. So today, give yourself permission to become a vast body of water, one that can hold the salt of life, yet remain sweet and clear. And if right now you're carrying a cup that feels too salty, maybe it's time to change the cup. Start today. Widen your heart, and pain will begin to shrink. Thank you for spending time with this message. If today you felt even a little lighter, that's already a step toward healing. Because every time we learn to open our hearts, we're healing ourselves. Pain isn't here to punish us. It's a chance to discover how much can we forgive, how deeply can we understand, and how fully can we love. If this message touched you, please hit subscribe to Buddhism Seeds, so each day a small seed of peace can be planted in your heart. And don't forget to share this with someone you care about. It might be the small gift that lifts their sadness. And if there's something resting on your heart today, leave a comment below. I'm here always listening with care, wishing you a peaceful day and a heart as wide as the lake after rain.